Hello friends, it's Nikki and welcome back to my messy bookshelf. Today I'm here with my weekly reading wrap-up. And I have to admit that this week it went a lot differently than I thought it was going to. I didn't get to everything that I planned to get to. Though I did read several things, it's just I did not finish any full length books. I read some short stories, and yeah, it's been an off week. Some of you may know that last week, a week ago, when you're seeing this, our 15-year-old dog passed away. So, our eldest dog, who has been in the family since she was a tiny little puppy 15 years ago, she passed away. And she passed away at home. So, with me and my daughter Bella being here alone, and she passed away fairly suddenly, and having to wait for someone to come pick up her remains to take to be cremated, it was a bit traumatic. It was a bit traumatic. So, this is the first video that I am making since that happened. I attempted to film another video this week to try and distract myself, and then I couldn't. So, um, hit a little bit of a slump on Sunday, obviously, and I will say that the short stories and our Audiomiles pick has been helping a lot. A lot. So, I will start off with what I have been working on. Starting off, I'll talk about my nonfiction, which is still going, Jane Austen's Bookshelf by Rebecca Romney. And I did make it another chapter into this, and we are focusing on another woman author. And I really enjoyed the last chapter, which was about Anne Radcliffe. And I still need to read The Mysteries of Udolpho, but she talks a lot about that book in this book. So, still enjoying this and will continue this as slowly as I need to. It's nonfiction, and I like to try and get to one every month or every 2 months, and it's been a couple of months since I read a nonfiction, but I'm not going to rush myself. Um, the next thing I wanted to discuss was our Audiomiles book that we are reading for. It was for July and August, and I had a pretty slow start because we've had so much rain, and when it's not raining, it is 100 plus degrees outside. So, haven't been getting outside for walks as often as I have said before. Um, did manage to get outside last week and this week, and I've reached a point where I really, really want to keep going, and I really, really want to get to, the end. And I'm really enjoying it. It starts off with a heinous crime, and then there is another crime that takes place 12 years later and is somehow connected to the first crime that took place. And really enjoying that. And I think a thriller, especially listening to it, has been very helpful for me this week in sort of getting back to myself. And I made it to 59, almost 60%. And yeah, I'm at a point where I just want to keep going on walks and doing stuff. I might listen while gardening. I listened a little bit while I was weeding in the front of my house. Walked a couple miles this week, and I forgot to write down how much I walked this week, but we'll be continuing that this week. And then finally, let's get to our short story summer. I am a co-host for Short Story Summer, and I have really been enjoying the short stories. I read some fantastic short stories this week. I think I only read 5. Sunday and Monday were not reading days for me because, Sunday is when our dog passed away, and Monday is when they came to get her remains. So, after that, I did try to get to one every day. So I did read 5 short stories this week, and I will share those with you. So I can't remember which one I read first. Death of a Traveling Salesman by Eudora Welty. It was very good. I will say that I think I was not the target audience for that particular one seems to be a lot talking a lot about loneliness and, feeling like you have not focused on what's important in life. And it focuses on a traveling salesman who has been alone traveling around America selling shoes for 14 years. And at the beginning of the story, his car breaks down in a very remote rural area. And he comes in contact with this couple, a very rural couple in their little sort of shanty house, and realizes that he's been missing out on a lot of the important things in life. And I really did like it, but it was very emotional, much more emotional than I expected it to be. But I do really like her writing, so I will continue reading more Eudora Welty. What was the next one that I read? I did not pull out the book. I read The Crystal. Oh, and that was for time periods from 1900 to 1949. The next one I read was for sci-fi, and I read The Crystal Egg by H.G. Wells, and I enjoyed that one. I really enjoy H.G. Wells, and this one was about a man who owns sort of an antique shop and has this strange crystal, egg-shaped crystal in his shop, and someone wants to buy it and he doesn't want to sell it. And then we learn more about the crystal itself and the implications of that discovery, and some other things happen, and it was a little bizarre in certain parts, but I really did enjoy it, and I enjoyed finding out what happens. So that was for science fiction. The next one I read was from actually a new collection. I did purchase a couple of books this week, a little bit of retail therapy, and I read The Dead Smile by Frances Marion Crawford for the horror prompt out of this collection, this anthology. And that one was fantastic. That one was fantastic and utterly creepy. And we are in a castle or a mansion, a family, one of the big families, and the father, the head of the family, is on his way out. He is about to pass away, and there are some very sinister things going on. He has a very creepy, horrific smile, and whenever anyone is around him, they feel that smile coming onto their face. And yeah, I don't want to say anymore. There is a son, there is a fiance, so the niece of the head of the house lives there with her uncle and her cousin, and she is engaged to the son, her cousin. And we find out a lot more about family secrets and what has happened to sort of place this curse with this weird smile on the head of the family's face. And it was delightfully creepy. I really enjoyed it. There was such a sense of dread. Definitely a wonderful gothic horror story. So really enjoyed that one. And then I read A Rose for Emily by William Faulkner, and that was out of this collection. And another one, it was fantastic. It was fantastic. The ending was great. I absolutely love the ending. And it's about the life and death of this elderly woman in this small town. I can't remember if it was Alabama or Mississippi, but small rural town. And this woman who is very reclusive, he goes back and forth talking about things that happened in her life and her death. And slowly, as we're learning more about her life, we start to wonder, wow, those are some really unsettling facts from her life. And at the end, it all comes together, and It was Chef's Kiss. So I loved that one. That was probably one of my favorite ones, if not my favorite one that I read this week. So A Rose for Emily. I loved it. And then the last one that I read was and what was that for? I did that one for North America. And then the one I read for historical fiction surprisingly came from Roald Dahl. And I did not intentionally read this for historical fiction. I read it just to read it and then realized that it was historical fiction. And it is a fairly short story based on a true thing that happened. And we start off with a woman who is in childbed. She has just given birth and she is feeling very anxious because she doesn't believe that this child will live because she has lost 3 previous children in the last 4 years. And she's worried and she is praying that she will be allowed to raise her child. And slowly you start to realize what it is that you're reading. And I will tell you, it hit me like a brick when I realized, oh, wow, okay. So fantastic. So between this one and A Rose for Emily, I don't think I said the title, called Genesis and Catastrophe by Roald Dahl. Genesis and Catastrophe, which I read for historical fiction. Yeah, hit me like a brick. It definitely hit me like a brick. Um, and then what else have I been getting up to this week? I did start a new buddy read and will be looking forward to focusing more on this week now that I'm sort of getting out of my slump, thanks to these short stories and our thriller for Audiomiles. I started reading The Unicorn Hunters by Catherine Arden, which is a buddy read that I am doing with Melly from Melly and the Margins. And so far, so good. I am only on the first chapter. And yeah, this is gonna probably be my focus for the next week or two. So looking forward to this. We have no time constraint. We're not trying to finish it by a certain time, but we both had the time. I just finished. I have 10 days off because I am between summer semester ended today, technically tomorrow, and it doesn't start again until the end of August. So, and then I have The Taming of the Shrew, which I will be starting today. This is going to be a buddy read with Melinda from A Web of Stories. So I'm looking forward to this one as well. It is short and it's not, a giant tome that's going to take me a long time to get through. And we do have a schedule for this one. And looking forward to this. I start this one today. And then the other stuff I've been working on, I have been really just trying to keep my mind busy. I've been working a lot on these murder mystery puzzle books. I started The Killer Isn't Alice, which is super fun, and I was very surprised by how much I am absolutely loving this Murdoku book. I have been loving it. I have been binging puzzles and puzzles in a row. So I have been doing a lot of this, and then with the short stories and the Audiomiles listen, it has helped me. And I feel I am ready to tackle what I need to tackle. I did not read any War and Peace since Sunday because of, did not feel like jumping into War and Peace after having a family tragedy. So I feel that I am ready, perhaps, to start back up this week. But I'm not going to force myself. I know my buddy is behind with it as well, like way behind me. And yeah, I'm not going to pressure myself because I set it to end at Labor Day, but it's been a rough week. It's been a rough week. But yeah, that is what I've been up to and what I am on to next. And I will continue filling out this short story summer board. And did I find any Booktube Quest prompts? I did find 3. So for bloopers, I found some bloopers in Melly's video. I heard a dog barking in Melinda's video. And my favorite book is visible on their shelf. I found a book that is one of my favorites on Pat's shelf from Book Chat with Pat. It was an Agatha Christie, it was a Miss Marple. Can't remember if it was Sleeping Murder or The Body in the Library, but it was a Miss Marple story. And yeah, those are the ones I found this week. I am behind my co hosts on this, but I often listen to videos without actually looking at them. So we'll get there. We'll get there. We have a couple more weeks, and yeah. But I thank you so much. If you listen to me ramble all this time, and I would love to hear what you're reading, and I hope to see you in the next video. Take care. Bye.